Well, we know that Justin Trudeau for a long time now is on a massive decline in popularity, but what really matters is the mainstream media. As much as I hate to say that, what's their narrative? Where are they taking, the narrative in the direction? And it turns out that they're actually flipping on Justin Trudeau. They're turning on him and they're bashing him. They're saying too little, too late, and you messed up and you missed your opportunity. And now the world, or specifically Canada, but also the world, is against you, including mainstream media. Welcome back to another video, everybody. This is going to be a great one. We're going to be watching a couple CTV and CBC clips here, so stick around for the full thing. I highly encourage you you do so, and I highly encourage you give a like and subscribe, share this video to Facebook, share it to Facebook groups, whatever it is that you have to do. Also, I want to let you know that winter is coming, and the best way to prepare yourself is with the appropriate clothing. My favorite hoodie is this Canadian Freedom. I switched out how it looks on the merch shop. It used to be, I think it was a white or black hoodie. Now it's maroon because that's my favorite one. I've got one of those and the Keep Calm and Fight for Freedom for my wife because she kept taking my hoodie. So be sure to grab your hoodie down in the link is down in the description below. Without further ado, let's take a look at this CTV article. I love the title. Don Martin, nice try, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, but it's too little, too late. They are realizing that it's a sinking ship and they want out. They want to maybe regain a little bit of their reputation. I'm sure mainstream media, their numbers is on a massive decline as well. That's what happens when you spread propaganda and you don't stand up for the truth. Yeah, people are smart. Think about that, CTV. People are smart.
Well, absolutely it is. In fact, so the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, had brought the same group of CEOs to committee 6 months ago, and nothing happened then, and I don't think that anything is going to happen this time either, unfortunately. Canadians are really struggling with a higher cost of living, including higher cost of groceries, and winter is coming, which means that those costs are only going to go up. We're entering a period of time when Canada imports a lot more of its food than we produce domestically. And that means that we're going to be paying more for it. And it seems like there isn't a plan at all. And Justin Trudeau is saying, I've run out of ideas. I don't have a plan. So I need the CEOs to come and give me their plan. And they have until Thanksgiving to deliver it. That's not reassuring to anyone. And unfortunately, it is really just a photo op.
Miriam, weigh in here. What can the government actually do, do you think, beyond name and shame?
Well, I think MPs, particularly Liberal MPs, have heard from the middle class and those struggling to get back into it over the summer that the Canada Child Benefit, the increase in OAS and GIS, the grocery rebate, the top up to the GST tax credits, the climate incentive are making a difference, but it's not enough. And they're going to have to come up with more creative, more bold solutions to make life more affordable for Canadians. And in addition to the housing initiatives we heard yesterday, this came up. I think the government needed to show that it's willing to do just about anything to make a difference for Canadians. And moving forward, the Monday meeting itself will be interesting. I imagine we will all be watching very closely. But between now and Thanksgiving, the question will be, well, first of all, will this work? They said they're going to do it, but can they actually work with the grocery retailers who are making record profits to reduce prices? And then let's say they do, and the prices come down. What is preventing these grocery stores to say, you know what? Now that we've had to reduce our profits, we're going to have to lay off thousands of workers, many of whom are going to be women. And so that's going to be a piece in addition to the accountability that the government needs to account for and be mindful of.
Garattan, grocery prices, big issue for many Canadians, no doubt people watching as well. The NDP pushing hard to hold grocery stores accountable for a long time now. What do you think needs to happen here?
Well, we've kind of heard that the NDP already compelled grocery CEOs to come to committee last year or earlier this year. And we now, I think, folks in Canada are still struggling and they're looking for real solutions. The Liberals are not offering real solutions. They're just offering to do what's already been done.
I don't understand all of the hate towards the grocery store CEOs. I do understand that grocery store CEOs are part of the problem, but they're not the majority of the problem. It's a grocery store, it's a business, it's there for profit, and they don't make a lot of money. I think channeling our anger towards grocery stores and how they're pricing their foods and goods, I don't think that that's the right tactic. I think that they've had to increase their costs due to all of the additional costs for distribution, for shipping, for packaging, and all of those things, and keeping up with inflation. And so, yeah, grocery store CEOs, sure, they're a part of the problem, but their costs also went up. And if you look at the profits of what grocery stores are making, maybe $45 million, that's across all of Canada. There's a lot of different, no frills or whatever grocery stores. $45 million profit for a store that's across an entire country, I don't think is a whole lot of money. I mean, yeah, I would like cheaper food, but the grocery stores are not the ones that I personally think should be the ones to blame. It's the politicians. It's Jagmeet Singh. He's a huge hypocrite. He could call a snap election and we could scrap this carbon tax and literally reduce our cost of living by like 15% almost overnight. The only reason why gas is more expensive, groceries are more expensive, is the carbon tax. It's not because, hey, it's 2023 and they've decided to screw people over. It's their costs have gone up, much like all of our costs, and now our costs go up more because their costs go up more, and it's shit rolls downhill. That's just how life goes. So the fact that they're hyper-focusing, the politicians are hyper-focusing on grocery store CEOs, that's why you haven't seen Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives do that, is they know it's not the grocery stores that are at fault. It's Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau's coalition and them not wanting to disband the carbon tax because Jagmeet Singh is okay saying, hey, we need to fix this problem. But you look behind the curtain and he's a part of that exact problem. He can scrap the carbon tax by calling a snap election. I mean, Liberals will actually get slapped in the polls, so maybe it is a slap election. Maybe we should get that hashtag or whatever that verbiage trending. But the problem is Jagmeet. He's a hypocrite. He's two-faced, and it's very, very, very frustrating.
So I think Canadians are looking for leadership from the federal government, and they're looking specifically for relief. They need to see and experience and feel a drop in the cost of groceries, which is putting people in really precarious situations. So I know the NDP will be introducing legislation on Monday that looks to bring in actual substantive changes in policy to help make life more affordable. And I think that's what Canadians need right now. We don't need to see a replay of what's already been done. We need to see government take real substantive steps to help people who are struggling.
Yeah, Christy, I'm curious to get your read on what's happening here. What do you think?
I think there is an important element of nuance in this political conversation. And Todd, you touched on it earlier in the program where you did talk to the Retail Council, because from the perspective of the grocery companies, they're saying that there is an element, which is, of course, that vendors have been taking on additional costs because of world events, the war in Ukraine.
Oh, come on.
And that this is an important element of this conversation. In fact, this has also been documented in reports, and the Retail Council notes in numerous reports, Statistics Canada, amongst other findings, looking at the fact that, again, they're saying we're willing to have this conversation, but at the end of the day, we need to scratch below the surface to actually look at the heart of the issue here. And I think that is the remaining question, whether the meeting on Monday is actually able to drill down on some of that nuance and the context and work with the grocery companies in order to advance progress. Because at the end of the day, I think everyone on the panel has highlighted that this is not a time for lip service. This is a time where Canadians are saying they can't afford to put food on the table. The Liberals have, over the years talked about the middle class and those working hard to join it. I think we're looking at a situation where people who maybe once found themselves themselves and the middle class feel like they're not even able to make ends meet. It's like trying to stay amongst the middle class in order to keep the lights on and feed your family.
Melanie, what's at stake here for Trudeau, do you think, politically?
Well, I mean,
it's over for him.
Numbers have been disastrous through the summer, in part because of the affordability crisis across Canada. I'm sure that the Liberal caucus is uncomfortable with those numbers, and they want to see some improvement. So I think everything is riding on this for him. Is he going to run again? Not if his reputation continues to be deteriorated by this awful affordability crisis that he's not really doing anything to address.
Miriam, do you think his message is connecting with Canadians? I mean, there's always been criticism that he can appear, to some anyway, being out of touch and elitist. Your read?
Well, I think this is a government that shored up our social safety net in significant ways. And moving forward, a challenge they'll have is to sound and show with empathy, that they're taking action. And, so we announced that we're going to build, the government will say, we announced that we're going to build 2,000 units of affordable housing in London, Ontario. Well, the challenge for them in the next construction season is going to be progress on this. Will there be shovels in the ground? How quickly will these units go up? How many other communities can they get to step up and do a similar deal with the government to move forward on addressing that critical piece of affordability? So the key will be, yes, communicating with greater empathy, which they have the capacity to do and have done before. But more importantly, beyond communication, it will be, come Thanksgiving, the proof will be in the pudding. And, whether that pudding will be affordable or not, that will be the real test for Canadians.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one that is crunching monthly expenses all too frequently. I mean, I'm personally, just to bring you guys into my life a little bit, I am reviewing my family's monthly expenses almost on a not daily basis, but quite a bit. I've been kind of obsessing over it the past couple of weeks because it's just so damn expensive. Everything. I mean, groceries just don't make any sense. I don't know any person that can go less than $200 a week for a single person. And you add in, two people, you're looking at $400 a week. This adds up. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that groceries per month can cost more than rent in certain areas. It's absurd. And then you add gas on top of that. It's like we're being forced. I feel like it's some sort of mandates, that unofficial mandates through just pinching people off financially to stay at home and to not do anything. You can't drive anywhere. You can't go on vacations. You can't do anything. You can't even go out and enjoy dinners all the time, or else you're living in perpetual debt. It's absurd. It's very weird. And the shifting of the classes here in Canada, $100,000 a year used to be like, holy crap, that is amazing money. You're like rich, man. You make $100,000 a year. Now $100,000 a year feels more like 50 or 60. It feels like a starting wage in life. Like it just doesn't feel as though $100,000 gets you very far. And I don't know what the new $100,000 a year salary would be. Maybe it's 150, 200, 250, 300. I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense. And something needs to happen. And hopefully we're going to see something happen in the coming months with, the social pressure that's going to be added to the Liberals in the House of Commons. There's going to be so many viral clips, which is all the more reason that you should subscribe to this channel, as well as my House of Canada channel for all of the question period highlights. The link for that is down in the description below. Because it's going to be insane. And CTV agrees. They actually say that you should expect political fireworks between Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre. I 100% agree with this.
We will all be relentless in our efforts and use every tool in our toolbox to meet this generational challenge.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau making two housing announcements during the caucus retreat in London. One will see the government remove the GST from the construction of rental units. The PM also announced the first deal under the Housing Accelerator Fund. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says creating more affordable housing will be his first order of business when the fall session begins.
That this Monday, I will introduce in the House of Commons the Building Homes, Not Bureaucracy Act.
And joining me now is Scott Reed, CTV News political commentator. Scott, welcome, first of all. Now, the Prime Minister announced several new measures to increase housing affordability, including removing the GST on new rental housing builds. Will this be enough to convince Canadians that the Liberals are using all of the tools in the toolbox to address the housing situation?
Yeah, I think that's unlikely. I'm not sure even the government is claiming that these are all the tools that are available to them or all the measures that they intend to take. But, with the National Caucus coming this week, with a long, grumbly summer of bad polls and disaffected members of Parliament, with increasingly bad news around housing, I think that the Prime Minister realized he just had to play some cards. He had to take some action, and that include measures that in the past he'd rejected, like the GST on rental units and excusing that. So I think what was missing this week was a broader sense of context, a broader sense of strategy and approach, plan. How are they going to act on top of these measures? What are the fundamental objectives? How long is it going to take? I think that the government's got to come forward with a broader conversation and say, look, we get it, and here's what we're doing. And this isn't one problem. It's not two problems. It's 4 or 5 problems. So we'll have to see what comes in the fall session. But one thing's for sure, we're going to get some political fireworks between the Prime Minister and Pierre Poilievre.
Polls are suggesting that Canadians think the Conservatives would do a better job at dealing with affordability concerns. What is the opposition saying on these measures?
Well, as the Prime Minister was making his announcements yesterday, Poilievre was, as we saw in the clip, also giving a news conference talking about specific actions. He's really talking about creating both incentives and disincentives. And what I mean by that is he's saying, listen, I'm going to use the power of the federal checkbook to convince municipalities to build more homes, change zoning laws, get rid of NIMBYism, move faster on permits. If you do that, maybe you'll get more money from the federal government. But if you don't, you might get punished. You might get money held back. You might not get that check as quick. There's a lot of differences between the federal and the federal offers that we can see on display here. And I do think there's going to be lots of room for argument. But you're right. Right now, because the government's been in office a long time, because the economy has been struggling, the Prime Minister is working off his back foot. And that's what the fall is going to be about. He's got to get himself back in rhythm. He was trying to start that job here at National Caucus. There's an awful lot of work to do because he's far behind in the polls.
He is too far behind in the polls. I don't think anyone can look at those polls and say, hey, Justin Trudeau has a chance. I mean, let's take a quick glance at the polls for those that are still sticking around to the very end of the video. I appreciate you. You have 98% odds of the Conservative Party of Canada pulling a win on this, 65% outcome or likelihood of a majority, and 33% minority. Usually those numbers are reversed, so that's pretty good, and projected to get 179 seats, and they need 170. So it's looking very, very good, very positive for the Conservative Party of Canada. And I mean, with how House of Commons is about to take off and the, as they're calling it, political fireworks that are going to spark, you're going to see Pierre Poilievre walk complete circles around Justin Trudeau. It's going to be very, very embarrassing for Trudeau and the Liberals because they are notorious for giving non-answers. We could see a different outcome if the Liberals spent their entire summer with a speech coach and, somebody who has common sense and can actually tell them, hey, man, I think you should really answer those questions instead of giving non-answers. That shit worked back when social media wasn't around. That shit worked when the only news outlet, the only relay between what's happening, current events, and the people, the consumers, was mainstream media who could control the narrative and take sound bites out of context. Now you have more people than ever that are watching Question Period, that are watching the full live streams, more specifically on Mr. Sunshine's second channel called House of Canada, where he streams every single Question Period live. You have unedited, raw footage that's available to people, and it's opening up a lot of people's eyes. And so it's fantastic. I think you're going to see an even bigger gap, if that's even possible, in the polls and the support for the Conservative Party of Canada. That's where we're going to end today's video. Thanks so much for watching. For those who did all the way to the end, I'd like to encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet, as well as remind you that you can purchase your hoodies down in the description below, as well as likely the pinned comment if I remember to do that. Remember, the Canadian Freedom hoodie is mine and my wife's absolute favorite. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.